The F-35 will crush the Russians and Chinese with quality and quantity. Undoubtedly, the F-35 has held its own as a combat aircraft. In May 2018, the F-35 was first used in combat. These were Israel Defense Forces vehicles. As early as September 27, 2018, two F-35Bs from the U.S. Marine Corps Air Corps 211th Fighter Bomber Squadron struck Taliban targets in Afghanistan with JDAM-guided aerial bombs. More importantly, as of June 2024, more than 1,000 F-35 aircraft of various versions have been built with a claimed total of more than 3,000 units. The F-35 has become the world's most mass-produced fifth-generation fighter, and in all likelihood, it'll be the only mass-produced next-generation vehicle at all. These aircraft are in service in 17 countries on 32 bases and 11 ships. In this video, we're going to tell you what the Pentagon's plans are for this airplane and why it will be the king of the air for a long time to come. It should be recalled that the U.S. stopped producing the F-22, which is unsurpassed in its technical characteristics, but very expensive in production and operation, back in 2012, and will not launch it again. In this regard, it's logical that for the U.S. Army, as well as a number of their allies, the F-35 has become the main military project of our time. And they'll develop it at any cost. It must be said that there's room to grow. So far, the airplane is far from the capabilities possessed by, say, the aforementioned F-22. They want to remedy the situation in the next 10 years, deeply modernizing the aircraft. Modernization, according to the plans of the F-35 Joint Program Office, is divided into two packages. The first is Technology Refresh 3, or TR3 for short, and the second is Block 4. Within the framework of the first package, it's planned to increase the performance of the fighter's computing system. It's necessary for the brain of the aircraft to cope with the new software, which will ensure the operability of the Block 4 package. Block 4 will include a total of 75 upgrades and improvements, including new precision weapons, new sensors, and new electronic warfare systems. However, the implementation of Block 4 will not come soon, and so far the F-35 has received the TR3, and even then with reduced capabilities. On January 6, 2023, the F-35 with a new processor with increased processing power took to the air. The flight lasted 50 minutes, with the fighter climbing to an altitude of 10 kilometers or 33,000 feet and reaching a speed of 1,234 kilometers an hour or 767 miles per hour. A full-fledged TR3 upgrade is scheduled for release in late 2024. In practice, this should give the pilot the ability to get better information from other friendly air, land, and sea units, which will ultimately make the airplane even more dangerous. In addition, the F-35 could get enhanced electronic warfare capabilities, which would theoretically allow it to effectively block enemy signals. And what about Block 4? The first 8 upgrades were supposed to enter service as early as 2019, but due to unforeseen complications and associated later equipment deliveries, only one of them, the automatic ground collision avoidance system, was released on time. The others should be operational for the foreseeable future. According to plans, the Joint Program Office has decided to use the Block 4 Agile Development concept. The updates are organized into 4 major phases: 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4. In addition, minor improvements will be introduced to minimize risk. One of the main difficulties of the F-35 can be called armament. Now the aircraft in the internal compartments can carry no more than 4 medium-range air-to-air missiles such as AIM-120D AMRAAM with a range of up to 160 kilometers or 100 miles. This should be sufficient for low-intensity conflicts, but by modern standards, such weapons still cannot be considered ultimatum. It's appropriate to say that the F-22 can carry 6 AIM-120D AMRAAM guided air-to-air missiles and 2 AIM-9M Sidewinder missiles with a range of 29 kilometers or 16 miles. But even it loses to Russia's 5th-generation Su-57 fighter, which can carry 8 RVV-SD missiles with a range of 110 kilometers or 68 miles, and 2 RVV-MD missiles with a range of 40 kilometers or 25 miles. It's also been reported that this aircraft has been fitted with the latest Russian R-34M hypersonic missiles, with a range of 300 kilometers or 186 miles and a flight speed of Mach 6. The Russian press reported that the Su-57 shot down its ancestor, the Ukrainian Su-27 fighter, with such a missile. Of course, the Molniya, like its counterparts, is capable of carrying weapons on external carriers, but this largely levels out its low observability, which is the best among stealth fighters, surpassing even the stealth of the legendary F-22 Raptor. Therefore, another important update will be the new Sidekick missile launch system. Thanks to it, the aircraft in the Block 4 version will be able to carry 6 AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles. Eventually, the F-35 will also be able to carry the new AIM-260 missile under development with a range of over 200 kilometers or 125 miles and a speed of Mach 5, as well as a new anti-radar missile. Only the F-35A and F-35C will receive an increased warhead. On the version with a shortened takeoff and vertical landing, F-35B to apply Sidekick will not be possible because of the large fan located behind the cockpit. This, of course, modernization of the F-35 will not be limited to this. In the future, the Israeli Air Force may equip its F-35I Adir conformal fuel tanks, which will dramatically increase the combat range of the machine and at the same time maintain low observability at the same level. At the same time, the idea to equip the vehicle with additional suspended fuel tanks has not gone anywhere. Recall that Israel wants the aircraft to carry 2 such tanks of 2,700 liters each, although this option will undoubtedly affect the stealth. It should be said that the indicators of combat radius and duration of stay in the air without refueling in the F-35 are the lowest among the 5th-generation machines. They are respectively 1,080 kilometers or 670 miles and 2 hours 34 minutes. The F-35B modification for the Marine Corps has a combat radius of even less, 833 kilometers or 517 miles. For comparison, the Su-57 has these figures respectively equal to 2,150 kilometers or 1,335 miles and 5 hours 48 minutes. The Adaptive Engine Transition Program, which involves the development of a 3-circuit adaptive engine, can also improve the capabilities of the F-35. It's estimated that the engine will consume about 25% less fuel and deliver 10% more thrust than current similar propulsion systems. Developed under the AETP program by Pratt & Whitney, XA-101 is a deep modernization of the F-135 engine, which is used on the F-35. It's important to say that the resulting Pratt & Whitney technology can also be used to modernize other propulsion systems. Installing a 3rd circuit on an engine of this size is possible, but it's not easy given the additional weight and complexity of this engine. Using some advanced systems, mechanics, power, and temperature control, agencies, compressor, and turbine, in addition to the 3-circuit architecture, we can use this technology to retrofit an F-100 or F-119. So I'm excited about that, said Matthew Bromberg, president of Pratt & Whitney's Military Engines Division in 2020. Recall that the F-35 is now equipped with a single F-135 engine with a thrust without an afterburner of 13,000 kilograms or with an afterburner of 9,500 kgf. This allows it to reach a maximum speed of 1,930 kilometers an hour or Mach 1.6, but the Lightning's no-jet supersonic speed is conditional, so the plane can fly only 240 kilometers, then either turn on the afterburner or reduce the flight speed. The Russian Su-57 is equipped with 2 engines with a total thrust without an afterburner of 19,000 kgf or with an afterburner of 30,000 kgf. Accordingly, the maximum airplane speed is 2,600 kilometers an hour and the maximum afterburnerless speed is 2,100 kilometers an hour. So an increase in engine thrust for the F-35 will not be superfluous. Among other possible improvements to the F-35 is the introduction of the ability to control unmanned wingmen. It's relevant to say that the U.S. Air Force recently selected 4 companies that should develop such UAVs under the Skyborg program. Out of 18 companies, Kratos, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, and General Atomics were chosen. On the armament, unmanned wingmen can be adopted in the first half of the 2020s. It should be noted that the Russians have developed a winged drone for their Su-57, the Su-70. It was even tested during the war with Ukraine, but its characteristics are strictly classified. It's only known that its length is about 14 meters, so only 1 meter less than H. Judging by the fact that the Su-70 has an aerodynamic scheme, flying wing, it involves stealth technology. Of course, analyzing the above figures may cause some disappointment. Even the F-35 Block 4 is inferior to the Russian Su-57 in many of its characteristics. But let's not forget that we're talking about modern fifth-generation airplanes, and we can't approach them by the standards of the Vietnam War. Speed, altitude, and maneuverability are no longer priority characteristics. What's the point of squeezing the airplane out of its unparalleled flight characteristics if the Patriot or S-400 will catch up with it and send it to the ground anyway? Nowadays, quite other characteristics come to the forefront: stealth, radar range, effectiveness of electronic warfare, technical characteristics of missile weapons, and of these characteristics, the F-35 looks stronger than the Russian fighter. All experts unanimously recognize its better characteristics of stealth. If we talk about the radar stations of both aircraft, experts estimate that the F-35 will spot the Su-57 at a distance of 180 kilometers or 112 miles, while the Su-57 will spot the F-35 at a distance of only 60 to 70 kilometers or about 40 miles. The technical characteristics of the electronic warfare systems are also strictly classified, but many experts believe they're about the same. The Su-57 has only one advantage. It has a longer range and faster missile. The R-34M is better than the promising AIM-260 JATM, but the F-35 will shoot the Su-57 first. One last thing, there's another important factor to consider when comparing these airplanes. It's their numbers. As we said earlier, the U.S. and its allies have more than 1,000 Lightnings. Russia has only 6 to 10 Su-57s. One of them was badly damaged at the Akhtubinsk airfield in the Astrakhan region, which is 589 kilometers or 366 miles from the battle line, by a Ukrainian drone. So even assuming that the combat capabilities of the F-35 and Su-57 are roughly equal, there will be at least 10 F-35s per Russian aircraft. And as Napoleon said, God favors large battalions. So taking into account all factors, we can confidently say that it's the F-35 that's the lord of the sky, and let's hope that the modernization of the F-35 will be successfully completed, and America, with any enemy, will be guaranteed to hold the sky for itself. What do you think? What's more important, quality or quantity? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd be grateful for a thumbs up and subscription to our channel. We'll see you soon for more about modern weapons.